Hit record and do not press stop until you're confident you've said everything you need to say. The reason being is because, again, it's a psychological element. Pressing stop and start tells your brain that you messed up. So leave it running, don't touch that phone, it's one less thing to think about. Continue until you feel like you've said everything. Then press stop. And the best part about it is you'll get loads of bloopers that you would have missed if you were stopping and starting. Where this stems from is the fact that I used to stop and start, and I missed a lot of things that I said that I thought were good because I wasn't recording. So hit record, you'll have one long take, and then you just take out the little bits in between, and you're onto a good one. Just hit record. That is something I swear by and have done for years.
And one of the main things on Instagram is video, particularly personal branding. And that is the topic of today's episode of the Social Roundtable. We're going to be talking about, in general, video being used for personal branding. And what I want to do is ask everybody on the screen right now for one piece of advice on how you actually practice and what you would recommend to those that are watching in regards to putting their best foot forward towards creating personal branding videos. I want to lead off with you, Harrison. What would be one of your pieces of advice towards doing this?
3 words. Just hit record. This is my methodology that I swear by, and there is a little bit of a psychological element to it. But here's what I want every single person in here, plus you guys on screen, to hear me out here, because this is super important and it's changed my life. When you walk into the room to film content, whether you put an hour in your diary or you just do it spontaneously, hit record and do not press stop until you're confident you've said everything you need to say. The reason being is because, again, it's a psychological element. Pressing stop and start tells your brain that you messed up. So leave it running, don't touch that phone, it's one less thing to think about. Continue until you feel like you've said everything, then press stop. And the best part about it is you'll get loads of bloopers that you would have missed if you were stopping and starting. And where this stems from is the fact that I used to stop and start, and I missed a lot of things that I said that I thought were good because I wasn't recording. So hit record, you'll have one long take, and then you just take out the little bits in between, and you're onto a good one. Just hit record. That is something I swear by and have done for years.
I love that tip.
Random tip here, but like going off of that, because I really love that you shared that. Because a lot of people would be like, well, then that's a lot of editing, right? But what I always do is I just like do some really weird, crazy, like in between to like kind of like reset. And then when I'm going through and like trimming, it's easy for me to see it. It sounds kind of silly, but like anything, if you want to like have a piece of paper next to you to like, I don't know, something to like.
What was that thing, Megan, you do in the middle?
Just like that. I do some weird.
We need to see those bloopers.
Yeah.
You gotta post that. I need to see that now.
Yeah, right? No. If somebody's sitting there, okay, that's just a lot. Like, just do something to allow yourself to easily visualize like where to trim without having to like, you're not stopping and starting. You're just doing something that's consistent.
So listen, there's the technical and there's the mindset. But I like to compare being on video like driving. You're gonna suck the first day you drive. You're just gonna suck. You're not gonna be as good. When you've been driving for 10 years, 20 years, you can drive with one finger, your phone, the music, eating yogurt. It's just the way it is. You gotta put in the reps. You just have to. You're not going to be great on your first video. Your first 100 videos may suck. You still have to make them. Yeah. You don't have to post them all, but make sure that you make them. The second thing for me is scripting. So I take a full day of scripting videos. I never record and script on the same day because scripting is very important. And I script in short sentences to create my videos that are easier to edit. So thinking about editing in mind, scripting the video with those, kind of like a hook and then short sentences and then a powerful outro is also very important. And so scripting that makes everything a lot easier. And then when I record, I say every sentence 3 times. I say it 3 times, and then I can grab and pick. I used to work in production, so I know that the beauty of having a lot of footage. And so it's just so much easier to edit because you're like, I don't like this tone up here. I don't like this tone down there. But it's very important that you work on the way you present yourself, tone of voice, your mannerisms with the hand, what you're saying. A lot of people really think that it's just about what it's being said, but it's how you say it as well. That matters a lot in communication. And so learning what works, have someone watch your video and maybe critique you. If you can take it honestly, it's really beneficial. If someone who can critique you with love can tell you, it's one of the best things that you can do. When I started, I would send it to a friend of mine. It's like, please tell me as if you don't like me. Like, tell me. And it was so helpful because you don't know how you're being perceived. And then you got to get out of your head because it's not about you. It's about the person receiving the message. A lot of times, like Harrison said, like the background, my hair is not pretty, like my video editing isn't perfect, I have an accent, or I'm not young, whatever. That's all those things are just like so superficial when it comes down to what you're actually saying, because no one else is watching that. I mean, we're not Hollywood actors, like no one expects you to be. So yeah, so those are the things that have helped me. And none of us started being great on video. The first video we did, no one did. And so having that, give yourself grace, for the first 50 videos. Mr. Beast talks about this all the time. Like your first 100 days are gonna suck.
Yes.
I really think that like both of you guys just shared of, just showing up and doing it, definitely. And then also like accepting that like you weren't born a movie star. You weren't born a professional here. Like you have got to show up and put in the reps, and you've got to give yourself grace and understand like something. Whenever I feel, oh, I'm kind of embarrassed to like post this, it's not as good, it's not as perfect as so-and-so, whatever, we start to compare, or imposter syndrome, all the things. Something I do is I just always remind myself like, a year from now, I'm going to be able to use that as content of like, look where I was, look where I am. I sucked one time too. Like trying to understand, you're building your story that's going to be more relatable and helpful for your brand overall all of the time. So the mess ups are actually very powerful for you to show when you are able to finally get to that point of, that next stepping stone, because right, we're never at the finish line. We're always getting better, but
yeah.
It's always a comparison of yourself, not to other people, which is easier said than done, but it's something you remind yourself and continue to allow yourself to be vulnerable and to show up like that.
The last question is, what is your favorite IG surface or channel on Instagram to create personal branding videos, whether it's IG Reels, IG Stories, IG Live?
Stories is always my favorite. I love Instagram stories. They are so raw and easy to make. I never use graphics. I never, do like pitching of my actual course, but I do a lot of problem aware content. And so I do a ton of documenting, a ton of social proof, and then I want people to join into the conversation. So I'll plant the seed and I'll ask the question of something that's relevant. But it's the most fun to make, honestly, and it's the one that really leads to the highest sales. And so if you understand story sequence, it's really the best way to move people in the customer journey into the DMs and into conversions. For me, it's stories. Stories is to nurture the community, and so those are your true fans. A lot of people worry that, oh, my story views are low, I don't want to post too much because they keep getting low. They keep getting low, and it's not about views; it's about retention. And so how many people are going to stay tuned from beginning to end throughout the day? And so that's how you want to draft your stories. And that's why you don't want to be like the hardcore pitching. You want to do more indirect selling. You want to do more agitation. You want to do more problem aware kind of content. And that way people are engaged, but they are following a story with you. And so, yeah, stories are my all-time favorite of all the placements.
I'm also going with IG Stories. The way I look at IG Stories is that they are the trailer, and our feed or our profile is the movie. And I think if we kind of position ourselves in an authentic way and a relatable way on our stories, and like Carol said, we document. And I have this massive thing like, don't showcase, document. Document what you're doing on a daily basis. The things that you actually take for granted because you do them every day may help change someone else's life. So I really focus on delivering on my stories, adding a bit of humor, adding a bit of behind the scenes, showing what's really going on in the business. And then I use my profile to deliver the value.
I think that reels are super fun because I do like doing transitions. I do like, the weird, silly, like fun, like intros, outros, all that. But I just think that stories are the most, I consistently enjoy them because there's so much variety that is just so great for us to really connect with our audience, whereas reels it's less about connection, right? It's more, I mean, there's definitely a time and place to have that for your reels, but stories are more off the, like, more of like the just real raw, right? And the moment, and less curated, while still looking professional and while still stopping the scroll. Like, we definitely always need that balance, but it's, at the end of the day, it's more of that real connection, and it's just more fun.
Stories is,
I love,
it's like for the family, I feel. Stories is like, it's for your peeps. And then
That's
everything
the
else is,
VIP.
exactly. And they get to see a different side of you, and it's where the conversation happens.
yeah. Yes, totally agree.
I'm gonna go somewhere else. I was thinking it was between stories and another one, but I'm gonna go different. And this one might be a little bit more controversial because I know most people don't agree with this one. I'm gonna go with IG Lives.
No, I like lives. I
But
agree.
I'm glad that you do, and I think most everybody on the screen right now does. But when you go outside and you put out content about IG Lives, most people don't react well to that, because there is a stigma against IG Lives, because there's that fear factor. They don't like to do things in real time. And I perfectly understand that, especially being somebody that did not like being in front of the camera. But I pushed myself to do reels when it first came out, and I enjoyed making reels, all the transitions. I didn't do any dancing. There's no video footage of me dancing, so don't go look for it. But I challenged myself also to do lives, and I fell in love with lives. It's my favorite content format. Although I do more stories than lives, it's just so much easier. But I think with lives, you're able to actually, I would say, maximize the effectiveness of the KLT, the know, like, trust factor. And I think you can do it in such a small time. And I would take this very live, for example, right now. I doubt that every single individual was following every single person on the screen. But at the moment, they are still watching because they have now started to learn who we are. They probably like some of our stuff. I don't know if they like Harrison because he doesn't like pineapple on pizza, and I do. So maybe
I've just
you
lost
know, it's one
loads
or
of
the
followers.
other. But no, I think in all you know, fairness, I think it's a short amount of time for you to actually really gravitate and get to learn somebody there. You know, as I stated before, I stutter sometimes. Maybe somebody else watching right now stutters and can relate to me as well.
Because I'm curious, because I feel like there are definitely two different types of people when it comes to consuming Instagram. Put a thumbs up if you like seeing all the really personal stuff, and put a thumbs down if you're like, I just don't care, it's just a little too much sometimes. Like, thumbs up if you're like, go deep, go all in. Put a thumbs down if you're like, you know what, maybe not that deep, but yeah, we can know about some stuff. Yeah.